So, if you saw my post today, one of the things that I was talking about is this idea of trying something new. What does it look like when things don't go the way that we want them to, and we're having to basically be forced into trying something different? A lot of times, this happens in our leadership, and I've heard about this several times over the last few weeks. Of we're seeing people do things because this is how it's always been done. And for anybody watching this, you've probably had somebody say, well, this is just how we've always done it. Or we tried that idea before and it didn't work. So you have all these skeletons in the closet of things that were maybe good ideas and just at the wrong timing. And so we just decide to never do them again because of the fact that it didn't work. This can be true for a lot of the companies that we see bringing people back into office for arbitrary reasons, and the dissatisfaction that we see across the board from people who are talking about it, who are in those industries, who maybe started from in during the pandemic and are now in an organization that is bringing people back in office. And so because this is the way that it's always been done, we tend to think about doing things in that way versus thinking about the different reasons that we shouldn't. And so this can be true in your marketing department, this can be true in your sales department, in your people, in your HR, in any piece of an organization, because we get so used to doing things in the same way that we've always done them that we never stop to question, why isn't this working anymore? Why aren't we moving things forward? And what would it look like if we stopped for a second and said, let's try something different. Let's just see what this could look like. And so I actually want to talk through a couple of ways today that you can start looking at this as we're sitting in a Friday, as we're moving into the weekend, and just kind of marinate on things as a leader, as whether you're leading yourself and you don't have a team under you, or you have a team under you and you're trying to figure out ways to make them more productive, get that better ROI from your team, and move the needle forward in the business from whatever position that you're in. Here's a couple of things that I want you to think about as you're doing that. Because when a leader knows when it's time to shake things up from this is how it's always been, when there's a couple of these signs, and there's multiple of these, but here's the top 4 that I see when I'm training teams, is stagnation. Because if progress has plateaued and the team feels stuck, it's a sign to explore new approaches. So where is the sticking point? What is the bottleneck? Are you the bottleneck in the business? Is it a process that you have that seems to keep things taking longer? Is it the fact that Slack gets in the way, or that there's not enough communication, or there's too many meetings? What is that stagnation that's getting in the way? The next thing is feedback. What are your people saying? What is the hushed things happening at the water cooler? What are people going into and saying, okay, this is irritating, this is a problem? And if you're not getting feedback, what are people saying behind your back as a leader? How are we getting that communication open? Because we talk about this all the time. In any relationship, it comes back down to communication. How do I communicate with my people better? And how do I bring them more into this process so that they feel involved? Because your high performers and the people who really are going to give you the best work are going to be the first people to leave when they don't feel like they get to have a say in what's happening and they're just being told what to do like a workhorse. The third thing is a changing environment. So market trends or new technologies can create opportunities for innovation. How are you looking at the things that are at your fingertips, like AI and different LLM things that you can start doing, automation, pieces that take the workload of that day-to-day grind off of your people's plates, so we can use the genius that they have to move the business forward, to move your initiatives forward. And then finally, as a leader, leaning into your intuition. Is your gut telling you that this is not the right thing? Because sometimes as a leader, you just feel that there's a change needed to align with the vision of the company. And coming back to the vision, what is that vision? What is the vision for the company? What is the vision for your team? And how are we moving that forward so that everybody is on the same page? Everybody's caught the vision. Because if not everybody, Simon Sinek talks about this all the time, but if not everybody understands the why of what they're doing, it makes it a lot harder to do the thing. It's just like we were talking about I think it was last week, about if you don't know what leadership is, then you don't actually know how to make it happen. So, as a leader, you need to know what the why is and why you're going towards that thing in order to move your team forward. So, if this is something that you're struggling with, or you're like, hey, I'm a great leader, my people love me, but I'm still not getting the results that I want, or people aren't engaged, or they're just not doing what they want to do, or you hear these words like quiet quitting, or you're losing your high performers, let's have a conversation. Send me a DM, get on my calendar at kabrinaashley.com/strategy-call, and we can have a conversation about ways that we can engage your people better, and for leadership to lead in a way that communicates with people and gets them engaged so that we can have the best teams that we can in an organization. So happy Friday, and I will see you next week.